Hi, this is Little Dwarf playing games while rambling incoherently into a microphone. Why? Well, just because I can, and I continue with BioShock 1 Remastered. Let's flip this, because it's actually required to open the door ahead. As you can see, the bot is actually quite effective in dealing with the enemies, especially at close range. So generally bots are very helpful whenever you can get them.
We can see you, you know. Go and run! That's all your type is good.
That being said, I just hit it, but it is going to get destroyed eventually anyway, so...
Typical behavior!
It's not that big of a deal. Okay, this isn't going well at all. As you can see, the bot is rather heavily damaged already, as evidenced by the smoke coming out of it. So, as I said, it's not the best performance for me, but unfortunately for you, you will have to get used to it. As I said, I am a bit of a paradox when it comes to games, because I do enjoy higher difficulties, but it doesn't mean I'm actually good. Need a boost? Try our new and improved Prime Health Unit. Safe, speedy and affordable. You'll feel as good as new. Health Medical Corporation. Vita Chambers I've read already. Blah blah blah. Vita Chambers, medkits. I read all of that. Steinemans, we care for you. Rhinoplasty, read that.
You promised me pretty, Simon. You promised me pretty. Now look at me. Look at me.
Yes, so as you can see by that.
You keep an eye peeled for Steinman. The daft bastard set up shop in the surgery wing. You want to find him? Just follow the blood.
And by that, above all, do no harm, written, signed by J. Steinman and written in blood. He's not entirely alright in the head, as most characters in Rapture are not at this point, which is kind of the point. Higher standards.
Adam presents new problems for the profession. As your tools improve, so do your standards. There was a time I was happy enough to take off a wart or two, or turn a real circus freak into something you can show in the daylight, but that was then, when we took what we got. But with Adam, the flesh becomes clay. What excuse do we have not to sculpt and sculpt and sculpt until the job is done?
I need this. Do you hear me?
Surgery, crematorium, funeral services area. I will be visiting all of those places eventually.
Remember,
Okay, I kinda screwed this, because there's a turret, and it has destroyed my bot, unfortunately for me. Yeah, this definitely could have been done better, but, you know, as I said, better get used to things being done not in the most optimal way, because that will for sure happen again. But the turrets, as you can see, also quite useful. However, obviously, being turrets, they are immobile, so can't exactly follow you. Okay, there are some more enemies around here for sure, as evidenced by them talking. I would prefer to eliminate them before I explore more. That's where I came from. Adam denies us any excuse for not being beautiful, says this sign, written again in blood. And there is limits of imagination. Let's listen to that.
I am beautiful, yes. Look at me. What could I do to make my features finer? With Adam and my scalpel, I have been transformed. But is there not something better? What if now it is not my skill that fails me, but my imagination?
As you can see, Steinman has become increasingly obsessed with aesthetics, to the point where at some point he started to think that maybe, you know, physical perfection is not enough. Maybe there's some higher ideal to be achieved. Now, the enemies can actually use health stations to heal themselves. Which is certainly something to keep in mind, and you can actually avoid that by hacking the health stations yourself, because it makes them hurt the enemies that attempt to use them. Steinman kills. Stay away. Adam denies us any excuse. Stay away. Yeah, I kind of figured, you know, I didn't really need that sign to know that Steinman is bad news. The game is very good at making that clear to you very quickly. Yeah, cost reduced, and enemies who use it will take damage. So it's mostly useful for that second part, because it's annoying, especially on harder difficulties, when you almost get an enemy, but then they run away and heal to full health. You can avoid that by hacking the nearby health stations. Love for science. Well, there was another one right here, right? Let's listen to this one first. Parasite expectations.
On the surface, the parasite expects the doctor to heal them for free, the farmer to feed them out of charity. how little they differ from the pervert who prowls the streets looking for a victim he can ravish for his grotesque amusement.
Now that is again something that Ayn Rand could have written and has pretty much written, because the cornerstone of her objectivism philosophy was that all relations between men should be based on a voluntary transaction. But again, it's a little bit more complicated than it sounds, because she didn't necessarily mean a financial transaction. Ayn Rand considered virtues to be currency. She considered virtues to be acceptable payment. For example, for Ayn Rand, friendship was a transaction. You helped your friends because you valued them as people, and their virtue, them being good people in your eyes, the quality time that you spent together and all that was your payment. She wasn't necessarily stating that you should demand actual money for anything you do for other people, but what she did mean was that you should never feel compelled to do something for other people just because they have a need. She considered, as I said, she would probably agree with what Andrew Ryan has said, even though he said it maybe a little bit different than she has, because he has straight up compared expectation of free healthcare, for example, to rape, which is, a bit of a hardcore point of comparison, but Ayn Rand would agree that it is wrong to expect, for example, a doctor to heal you without payment just because you are suffering. That doesn't mean necessarily that that she would say it always has to be a financial reward, an actual payment for the doctor. But what she would say is that he shouldn't be expected to help other people just because they are suffering. The fact that they are suffering in itself does not give them a claim on the services of anyone. It would have to be, they would have to represent, the people suffering would have to represent some kind of a value to another person for that person to help them, which doesn't have to be financial value. As I said, for Ayn Rand, friendship was a transaction and virtue was a value. But what she meant, and what she would agree with Andrew Ryan in, is that need in itself is not a claim. It doesn't give you the right to expect other people to help you. They have no actual obligation to do it. They can do it if for whatever reason they deem you worthy of their help. Not necessarily for financial reasons, for whatever reasons, but the choice has to be theirs. The fact that you suffer in itself is not a justification for Ayn Rand or for Andrew Ryan to expect actual help from other people. There is also love for science.
I was at German prison camp, only 16 years old when I realized I have love for science. German doctor, he make experiment. Sometimes he makes scientific error. I tell him of this error, and this make him angry. But then he asks, how can a child know such a thing? I tell him sometimes, I just know. He screams at me, then why tell me? Well, I said, if you are going to do such things, at least you should do them properly.
So that's your introduction to the character of Tenenbaum, who, from the sound of it, was a prisoner at a German concentration camp and has witnessed some of the Nazi medical experiments. It is a very interesting audiologue. The way it ends, the way she says, well, if you are going to do such things, at least make sure to do them properly. I do believe it tells you something about the kind of person she is, and it's not necessarily entirely good, because it seems to suggest that she, even as a teenager and as a prisoner, she valued like perfectionism and the actual scientific method more than the actual questions of ethics. Like, you know, it was more important to do the science properly than it was to consider whether you should be doing it in the first place, which is going to be elaborated upon later on in the game, and in fact is one of the major plot points of this whole game, right? Because that was the founding principle behind Rapture, that they wanted to escape what they saw as oppressive morality of the topside world that limited scientific progress, because basically they thought that moral objections to scientific research and to art and to anything, to any voluntary act of free people is pointless and wrong, and they wanted to escape that, but in the end it didn't really work for them that great. Although, as I said, to me the critique does not entirely work, for reasons I will elaborate upon later on, when the game actually brings up the particular things. Free plasmids at Dandy Dental. For a limited time, get a free plasmid by Ryan Industries at Dandy Dental with any root canal. Choose from Slim Down or Telekinesis. Offer good while supplies last. Okay, I will be visiting all of those places anyway. Well, most of them. Those that I can actually visit. There's a new kind of vending machine, an ammo vending machine, which again tells you something about the state of the city in its final years, I believe. Okay, I'm kind of screwed, right? The fact that there's an official brand of a vending machine solely selling ammunition tells you something about the state of the city, I believe. I am not going to buy anything for now. But hacking them might be important for later, because there's going to be a rather tough fight in some time. In this general location, there's another audiologue here, Vandalism.
It has been brought to my attention that some citizens have discovered ways to hack the vending machines. I should not need to remind each and every citizen of Rapture that free enterprise is the foundation upon which our society has been established. Parasites will be punished.
Report any unexplained water promptly to the Central Council.
A lap of luxury Athena's Glory. Apartments now available. 85% full. Okay, this is locked for now. Mind over matter. Telekinesis. Free samples at Dandy Dental. Which is actually a clue, but the clue is irrelevant because I'm going to visit every place I can. So I would have gotten there eventually anyway, whether I read that or not. Okay, where can I go? Can't go in here yet, Twilight Fields, funeral home, but I will be able to eventually. I can go to the Eternal Flame, so I guess let's do that. There's an enemy armed with explosives right here. And he does explode. But overall, I guess I didn't die, so I guess overall it was a success, kind of. Eternal Flame. And there is this guy again, in loving memory of Winston Hoffner. So he seems to be someone important-ish, because there was like a memorial almost dedicated to him in the streets, and there, funeral services were being held for him in here. But to my knowledge, if I remember correctly, this character is never elaborated on in the game. And here you have those twisted designs, which do appear all throughout the chapter, of Steinman trying to redesign a human face. And you can hear more about it in this audiolog called Surgery's Picasso, which tells you already, I believe, a bit about the contents.
When Picasso became bored of painting people, he started representing them as cubes and other abstract forms. The world called him a genius. I've spent my entire surgical career creating the same tired shapes over and over again. The upturned nose, the cleft chin, the ample bosom. Wouldn't it be wonderful if I could do with a knife what that old Spaniard did with a brush?
Yeah, basically, Steinman decided to be a surgery cubist, twisting human form.
Security cameras. I can hear the infernal things all around you. Ryan's eyes and ears.
Twisting human form to shapes it wasn't even meant to have, because he grew bored of the way people naturally look, even in perfected forms. He felt, it was not enough. You can actually hack cameras, and it is rather useful. Maybe not necessarily here, because this is still a very easy area with not that many enemies. But if you hack a camera, it basically seeks security on your enemies as opposed to you, which grants you almost unlimited bot support if you can convince the enemies to hang around in the view of the camera. Okay, I can use the crematorium, which I will, because it actually gives you a reward. Although I'm not sure how that's supposed to work. Like, am I supposed to believe that she had it in her pocket? How did it survive being the whole body being incinerated? I'm not sure, but let's not dwell on that too long. With Hacker's Delight, your body converts the altered current from a hacked machine into a powerful healing agent. Hack and heal. You've picked up your first physical tonic. Physical tonics make you stronger and more powerful. They are equipped separately from plasmids and other types of tonics. Every time you hack something, you gain a little health and Eve. I am going to equip it because I have nothing else anyway. And I am going to do a lot of hacking, all things considered. So, you know. Let's go upstairs.
Darling, I'm your better.
Okay.
Parasite wanders the halls. We rebuild our city and the doubters send a spy to spoil our home. 1,000 Adam for the man or woman who pins its wing.
Incinerate. When it absolutely, positively has to erupt in flames, don't wait, incinerate. It's a new plasmid. Sets objects and creatures on fire. Repeated use to increase the pain. Age 12 and up. Okay, that's hilarious. With the age 12 and up. Apparently you could legally have what amounts to a fireball. Well, it's not a fireball. It's even worse than that, because it's like spontaneous combustion. There's no actual projectile involved. You could apparently use that from ages 12 and up.
Light up foes to 1,000 degrees. Warning, fire spreads.
Yeah, and the game gives you an opportunity to test it immediately. It says incinerate the oil slick, and if you do it, this happens.
All roads in Rapture lead to Ryan. The security, the splicers, the big daddies, the little sisters. He pumps some kind of chemical scent in the air. Pheromones, they call it. Makes them all dance to his tune.
Okay, let's continue. Because now that I have the incinerate plasmid, I can get through some areas I couldn't before. For example, right here. Yeah, because I can incinerate this, and it's going to melt the ice. Twilight Fields Funeral Home. So let's do that. If I do remember correctly, there is a turret right here somewhere. Maybe I misremembered.
It's always the same with you assholes looking for a handout.
Okay, there's some stuff. Ah, there is a turret. Okay. So I did remember that correctly at least. And there's also a safe, which is rather difficult to crack by the look of it, but definitely worth it because of the contents. So I have to find a way to elongate this. Okay, and inside $17, 11 shotgun rounds, and 3 armor piercing. Okay, so it's less impressive than I would have hoped for. But let's read this. Funeral services, caskets, mahogany, copper, velvet interior, cherry high gloss, maple, stainless steel, pine, and youth caskets, so I guess for children. Although it makes me wonder, because there is specifically burial at sea and cremation, right? Which both make sense because of the limited space in actual Rapture. But how do coffins come into it? Like, it seems to me that burying people would be a huge waste of effort and space. But it specifically differentiates between cremation, burial at sea, and ceremonial service. And the existence of caskets themselves on the price lists seems to like imply that actual burial was also an option. You also have cremation urns and memorial merchandise, plaque, wreath, and flowers. Okay. There is a locked door in here. There is this guy again, William Hoffner, whoever he actually was. But there is also a code, 451. Now, this is a very famous code in video game history. It appears in a multitude of games. I do believe starting from the first System Shock, and it has to do with the people, with some of the people that have worked on all of those games. You know, System Shock 1, System Shock 2, Thief, recently-ish Prey as well, and BioShock games. And like there is a lot of sort of urban legends about the significance of that number, because some people say that it has to do with the book Fahrenheit 451, but from what I've read, it's actually not that. It's simply the fact that this number 451 was the like the room number of the office of some of the people who have worked, like the first office of the people who have worked on System Shock. I am going to include in the description a more detailed explanation of this number's significance, and also a list of all of the games it has appeared in, because that's actually quite a lot. Like, at the very least, it's both the System Shock games, both the BioShock games, I believe Thief, one of the Thieves, at least, or maybe all of them, I don't remember anymore, Prey, and maybe some other games as well. As I said, I will try to post some links in the description with more explanation. Okay. Let's continue. Now, there is a rather creepy moment up ahead, because notice this guy. There is clearly someone in there, right? But then the light goes out, and he's seemingly gone. A new offering in the Hack Smart line, Security Expert was designed for the hacker specializing in disabling electronic security measures. You won't be secure without Security Expert. Reduces difficulty when hacking turrets, bots and cameras. I will be doing a lot of that, so obviously it's worth it. But the guy that was here has seemingly disappeared, which is, you know, puzzling and a little bit worrisome. And as you will notice soon, that's actually not him. It's a totally separate. Yeah, so he has hidden in one of the lockers and tried to ambush you. I did remember this jump scare as being more jump scary, but maybe that's because I'm naturally rather skittish. It's very easy to frighten me, and I'm not good at handling, well, I guess horror in general, but specifically jump scares. Even though jump scares, you know, are kind of cheap, because I do believe most people would be at least a little bit affected by jump scares, because jump scares harken back to very instinctual reactions, because it's totally natural, you know, and almost atavistic to react with fright and panic at a sight or you know, hearing something that's sudden and unexpected, because obviously historically speaking, in the evolutionary process, such things could pose an actual danger to your life. So, you know. Fontaine Dandy Dentures. Casino. Pharaoh's Fortune. Play for keeps. Located at level 5 Cameron Suits. Casino. Okay. Adam denies us any excuse for not being beautiful. Presumably another message by Steinman, because he has pretty much said that in one of his diaries. Okay, let's listen to this. Freezing pipes.
Steinman, I know Medical Pavilion is your matter, but you might want to cogitate on this. Ocean water is colder than a witch's tit. You don't heat the pipes freeze. Pipes freeze, pipes burst. Then Rapture leaks. Now, I realise you're a posh sort of geezer, and frankly, I don't give a toss if you piss or go fishing. But once Rapture starts leaking, the old girl's never gonna stop. And then I'll be sure to tell Ryan he's got you to thank.
Okay, let's hack this. And I guess I can open this storage closet by supply by using this. Another auto hack tool. Some ammo for the machine gun. which I have not been using yet, but that's mostly because... Although wait, that's a separate ammo, right? Oh yes, it is. Okay, I was under the mistaken impression that it actually shares the ammo with the pistol, but maybe that's because that's how it worked in Half-Life. The ammo for the pistol and the SMG was shared, but clearly it isn't here, so I might as well be using the machine gun a little bit, because I already have plenty of ammunition for it. But I feel like this episode has been long enough for now, so I am going to save. And oh, okay. I guess let's save again. And end it for now. That's all for this one, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.